I know I promised to come back and talk to you about interview intake. And it's because it's what I realized at the end of the program. You'll do a massage that's kind of like what you did in Swedish, except that it encompasses everything for all the modalities, not just Swedish. Kind of like practicums, yeah. And
full program practicum.
right, yeah. And so I used to observe those, and I realized at the end of the program that no one really knew how to do an intake very well. So that wasn't good. So then we brought in an interview day at the very last part of the program. We kind of do some classes that are integrative classes, and then one of the students piped up and they said, "Why are we getting this at the end of the program?" I said, "Good point." So we've played with a couple of ways, and this is the best place that we've found is kind of at the end of connective tissue, where you're sort of got a little more massage experience and you're not quite so full in your head of all of the techniques and how to stand and all that stuff. So you'll get it, hopefully. And you'll remember it, hopefully. And if not, you have notes. So I have some notes for you. And so basically, I'm going to talk to you about some of the important pieces of doing a good interview. And then I'm going to do a demonstration. And then we'll have a little bit of practice time. It's not massage time, but it's just practicing interviewing. Any questions that have come up for you as you have started doing your clinic journals? In terms of intakes, interviews? And I'm using that term the same. Interview, intake, same thing. Yeah.
I guess after the actual massage, when you meet back up with them, what to ask to not be kind of repeating or redundant to what the journal is going to be asking them.
Mm-hmm. So sort of like the outtake.
Right.
Yeah. Well, of course, the most obvious is, how are you doing? Right? Is there anything any changes that you noticed? And it's also a time when you can give them some suggestions, things to do at home. Thanks, Mike. Mm-hmm. The Epsom salt baths, or the stretching, or the walking, or the whatever it is you want to send them home with. It's a good time to give those little assignments.
Certainly don't seem to be listening when they get off the table.
They're ready to go?
They're not listening. They're not home anymore.
Oh, because they're in La La Land. Okay. So you just have to make that assessment. Make sure they make eye contact with you. Make sure that you don't send them out to drive if they're not ready to drive. Sometimes I send people to take a walk around the block. I'm serious.
I've done that.
Yeah.
Going around my apartment before you get in your car. You don't look safe to go.
Yeah. So, have them say a few words to you just to get grounded.
My first clinic was teacher that used to teach here, Elizabeth, 10 years ago. Her name is Elizabeth. I can't remember her last name. But she used to teach Swedish here.
Oh, Elizabeth Rush?
Yeah.
Beep.
Good feedback.
Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. Oh, that's great.
And then she talked to me and told me what I did and what I didn't do.
Oh, that was a good one. That was like an instructional massage.
I didn't even know. And I didn't know who she was until after.
Even better. Even better.
Oh, you're talking about your first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. So everybody has one of these? Yes.
So I've been a couple where I've done the verbal intake and they filled out the paper and going through both of those, and then they get in the table, and then 10, 15 minutes in they say, "Oh yeah, I've got this going on," or my right foot touches,
Mhm.
just things like that. And they, when I've already decided my plan,
Right.
on them, and then they say, "Oh yeah, there's stuff going on."
Yeah. And that happens all the time, and I don't think it's intentional. People just forget to tell you.
Yeah.
And then when they get some contact that triggers the memory of like, oh right, I forgot to tell you I was run over by a bus. That happened to me once. How do you forget you're run over by a bus?
Well, I get
But-
questions, I'm like, well, that's where I was gonna start, and I have to start a whole new thing here, but
Yep.
I kind of let them feel that, like.
Yeah. Well, but instead, it's like, don't be attached to your treatment plan because it's not really about you. It is for them. So that's why it's really good to be able to be in the moment, and you can shift it right then. So tell me about what happened. Just do the little intake again, then tell me what happened with your foot.
My legs are real tired, my feet hurt, standing all day, and all this, and I'm hearing all that, I'm like, good, start with the feet and everything. So the first one I look at looks great, because I kept the other one great. I get to the other one, and it's just like growing a head off the bottom of the foot, and it's like, you're like, oh yeah, I've had this thing for a long time. I'm like, oh, where's that going? That's really good.
Yeah, you really have to be ready. You have to be able to just shift and pivot and change and let go of your plan and make a new one. It's great practice for life. Yeah, Sarah?
I've had one of those actually this past Saturday with a client who her back, she had 3 fused vertebrae in her back, and she hadn't remembered that. It was a long time ago, and she didn't remember about that. And I had asked her about it because her back kind of had a hump to it because the vertebrae were fused. And I was just trying to figure out what was going on in that area because I wanted to know the best way to work with it because it was something new I hadn't come across. And I was thinking scoliosis or something, but then she remembered, oh, I have 3 fused vertebrae. I'm like, oh, that's wonderful to know that now. And so it actually made her realize that she needed to probably write that down in the next person's chart. So, they know. So.
And you just want to be careful that when people do tell you things that you don't reprimand them for not telling you.
Oh, no,
Or,
no,
make them feel stupid or silly. It's like, oh, okay, great, that's good
I
information.
told
And
her, thank you for that because that's really useful
Right.
to know what's going on here so I know the best way to work with it.
And she probably won't forget next time once it comes up. Yeah.
Make them feel like it's a big deal.
Right. It just becomes part of the program then. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about this. So and I know I've said this to some of you, or maybe a lot of you, because I actually feel like the interview is one of the most important parts of a session. And it really sets the tone. It allows the person to start to feel comfortable around you. It allows you to get to know them on a lot of different levels, not just, when was their car accident and how did it affect them and, all that stuff, which is important. But more important is, how are they feeling? How can you best serve them? They're going to be different than the last person you just saw. They're going to be different than the next person that you see. They're going to be different than you. And so you want to be able to assess in this time of an interview is how am I going to work with this person? Because I'm not going to work with everybody in the same way. And you want to be able to kind of meet their field, meet their tone, meet them in a way that's going to be easy. Easy for their body, easy for their mind. And that way they'll be comfortable. They'll be able to get the most out of the session. Okay, so I actually think it's important to take a good amount of time doing an interview, especially for the first time, especially for your first client, for the first session with a client. And I know that sometimes you get rushed in the student clinic because of the regulars. And I just want to encourage you to continually give them feedback that this is a student clinic, that they're coming knowing that it's a student clinic and that you really need to go through this process with them. And if they want a massage therapist, the same person they're going to see every week and not have to go through starting over every week, then they need to go to a professional massage therapist. So it's really okay to just keep saying, this is a student clinic and this is how I learn and this is what I need you to do. Rather than, oh yeah, I'm fine, I just want to get on the table, which I know, some of the people will try to rush you through it. So, you are introducing yourself. Okay, that's obviously the first piece. You're determining what their needs are, what their expectations are, which is really important. Because some people come in and they definitely have an agenda. I want this, this, and this. And some people have no idea what they want. So it's good to know if they have them, and it's good to know if you can meet them, their expectations, because you may not be able to. And you refer them to someone else or discuss what it is you can do for them, and then they can decide. You're going to explain what's going to happen. You're going to explain how to get on the table. You're going to explain what you're going to do. You're going to explain how you go through the session, especially if it's somebody that hasn't had a massage before or that hasn't had a massage with you. Because even if they've had a massage before and you don't know who they've had a massage from, you have no idea what their procedure was. So you want to be clear about what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, and it sort of sets that tone of being professional as well. You're doing a preliminary assessment, and that's in terms of visual. Okay, so you're watching them walk into the room, you're watching them sitting in the chair, you're seeing if they appear in any pain, you're noticing if they are uncomfortable, or maybe you're sensing something's up, or they're shy, or they're loud, or they're introverted or extroverted, or all the things that you might notice about a person. You probably already do with each other, but you do this with your client as well, and it really helps you figure out how to best serve them. And this is a service profession, so you are service providers. Okay, and then you're going to formulate a treatment plan, which may get changed in the first 5 minutes of the session. But it's good to have something, and it doesn't mean you have to have this, step-by-step, 40-point massage plan. But it's nice to have a group of maybe 4 areas that you're going to address and what you think you might do with that. Okay. And then you can talk about it with your client, and so it sounds like I'll be working on blah 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 and blah. How does that sound to you? And they can come back and say, yeah, that sounds great, or no, I don't want you to do that. I want you to work on my feet, or and it is their choice. So even if you think there's something that would be useful, but your client doesn't want it, then you don't do it if they don't want you to do it, right? You know that one, right? Okay. Okay. What's that? Yeah, right. That's right, because this is good for you. All right, so an effective interview depends on clear communication, of course, which is one of the reasons why we do the communications classes. You have to kind of be a multitask person. You have to be able to explain policies and procedures so that they can understand what you're doing, but you also have to be a good listener. You have to understand their needs, or at least try to, and their expectations. And you're also, while this is all happening, you're doing a visual body assessment. You're noticing places that you feel drawn to, and you don't even have to know why, but you pay attention, so you're at least looking at them. I mean, you're not glaring, and you're not gawking, and you're not staring, but you're looking. Okay, so it's how to look at someone while they're talking to you and get information about it at the same time. Okay, so you're watching body language, right? And you're asking questions, lots of questions, lots of follow-up questions. You might ask one question, they're going to give you information, then you get a follow-up question about that. If someone is, shy or appears a little bit uncomfortable, then I'm going to take more time, not less time. Okay, so I want them to get comfortable. And so I might ask them, where in their body they feel like they feel tension. Or is there a common place for them to hold tension? Because everybody holds it somewhere, and that's usually a question that most people can answer. And there are, yeah.
Whenever I'm doing an intake and someone's like, oh no, I'm fine, I'm good, I ask them, and sometimes I found that it's helpful to give them examples, like, do you hold it in your neck and shoulder?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you hold it in your back? Do you hold it in your leg?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I find to be really helpful, because sometimes, people aren't really giving you anything as far as like,
them a little.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta prompt them a little,
Yeah.
move in direction.
yeah, it helps, and if they're not giving you an idea, like, I'm fine, just want a relaxing massage.
Right, right.
Okay, what do I do with that?
Yeah, and to say, that's great, we can definitely do that, a relaxing massage. And tell me what you do with your body 8 hours a day if they have a job. I really like to know that question, that answer. What does somebody do with they sit at a computer all day, or are they, laying brick? It's like, yeah, or they work in a restaurant, or, what is it? Just try to figure out if there's going to be any repetitive motions happening. So things that you'll start to see as common threads with people who work in certain professions, and different things that you can do to help them, especially like people that sit in computers all day. I always recommend having little, either programming in their computer for them to come up every 20 minutes for them to get up and walk across the room and back, or little sticky notes that they can put up everywhere to remind them, because people get sucked into computer world. You know how that is? You've ever gotten sucked into computer world? And you come out like 2 hours later in some like dazed thing, right? So it's nice to have little reminders for them to get up, stretch, even if it's just for 30 seconds or 45 seconds. It gets their blood moving, it gets their body moving in a different way. And these are things that you can do that are really helpful for people, so that they start to take care of themselves and they don't just come in to get, fixed. So that they are a little more proactive. Tammy, you have a question?
So when Susie said the way she does it with, employees, like you hold it in your neck or shoulders, when you say that, when you hold it in your neck or shoulders or whatever it is, it means stress, it means your weight?
Well, if you ask them where it is that they hold tension,
Okay.
or do you have a place where you feel like you hold tension?
Okay.
And sometimes I'll even say, most people find that they hold tension in one or two areas of their body. Are you aware of where yours is, or where you might hold tension? And then if they're like, well, not really, like some people feel it in their neck, or some people feel it in their back, or that kind of thing. Yeah, it meaning the tension, it meaning the stress. Yeah. Okay. Another really important part is that you are as neutral as possible as a therapist. It's not really a time for you to be expressing things like your political views and your, things like that, because it's not really important in the massage. That's not what your client is there for. So so you want to just, right, you want to try to make it a neutral space for people to come in and get away from all of that, I always find during election year it's really challenging because people get very charged up, and I can too, and so I don't want to get hooked into it, and I do sometimes, I get into some discussion with somebody and I'm like, why are we doing this here? We don't, so I have to let's just let that go for this hour and get a break from that. Consider this like a free zone of any discussions, And of course, there's times when it's going to come up. And there's times when I also, you want to allow your clients to talk if that's what they want to do. I don't want to shut them up. And that's another place where everybody kind of has their own opinion. Well, do I want my client to be quiet? Should I insist that they're quiet because that'll help them relax? But I have a couple of clients that, I may be their only contact for the week. And they want to talk. That's what's going to help them with their stress. So they get to talk. And that doesn't mean that I have to, I engage, I may answer, but I don't have to
Volunteer anymore.
right. I don't have to then tell them about my la-da-da-da-da-da-da-da thing that happened, So there is a little balance there, but really allowing the client to make the session how they want it, and not, you shouldn't be insisting that it's a certain way because that's how you like it. You see what I'm saying? So you're creating the space for them. And it may not always be to your liking. Right? Question?
Yeah, no, just a comment. In clinic, there's always, it's usually really quiet, but then there's always one person or one client that's just yapping. And sometimes, the therapist will be really good and just give, really short answer or stuff, or try not to engage it. But there are some therapists that just keep on going and going. I'm like, come on, I'm 4 cubicles from you and I'm hearing this whole thing and I don't care about it.
Oh, yeah. I learned all about someone's life in Class B when I was in clinic the other day.
Exactly.
I was
It's
like,
it's okay for your client to be talking, but you can try to get away from it. I've had clients even in clinic or when they come over to my house that they'll friends of mine special, they'll just keep on going and going and like, yes, okay, blah blah, really, really short, straight to the point answers and trying to get away from it. Eventually they do because they get bored. They're like, oh, this person's not communicating with me.
Yeah, and there are times too when you can guide it a little bit, like, what are you noticing here underneath my fingers?
Exactly.
Just to try to bring them back. And clinic is a little different because you're all with each other. When you're in your own room, it's you get your own.
That, but I'm
it
just
is
saying,
challenging
like,
in clinic.
Some therapists, they keep on going.
Engage.
The conversation
Yeah.
start instead of trying to get away
Yeah.
from it.
And I mean, just when you've done it yourself, what do you notice that happens to your massage?
It's, yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to focus on what I am feeling under my fingers when I'm talking about the chocolate cake that I baked yesterday, you know, or whatever it is.
Start having a
Right? Or we're going off down the road. It's a great conversation, but we might as well go have a cup of tea instead of a massage. You know? Tammy?
One of my first massages, and it was in a private place, I was really nervous because it was like the very first professional one. And I remember talking a lot, but thinking that I was rude if I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Even trying to ask her questions like about herself and
Mm-hmm.
whatever, I don't know how she liked the job, not personal stuff, but I was trying to keep like this conversation. And then like she just really politely let me know that, this would be better for me and it wasn't necessary for me to talk to her, you know, and to just like try to think of some place else I'd like to be. It was just, I can't, you know, remember verbatim how she told me, but she really pretty much let me know I didn't have to talk anymore.
Right.
And I did it.
Right.
And I never did it again.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really nice because she said it, you know, like,
And that's something you could say to your new clients.
that I was being like that.
And that can, because some people like to know, well, what am I supposed to do during a massage, you know, especially if it's a new client to you. And you can say to them, feel free to just lay there and be quiet. And, right. Give them directions. Give them directions.
I had a person here in clinic. It was my second massaging clinic. It was the first time he was ever getting a massage. He was really uptight about it. He just came because he got it as a gift.
Uh-huh.
It was one of those. And he was really young. He was 21, college student, whatever. And he had no idea what to do. You know, even when I came back and I was telling him how to get on the table, he was like, so do I just strip down and get on the table?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, you're going to get undressed to your level of comfort, get under the sheet, blah, blah, blah. But during the intake, I was telling him, he told me that it was his first time, and I told him, well, you know, the massage is for you, so just try to get as relaxed as possible, and, you know, it's your own time to relax and think of the place that you like to go to. Kind of what Tammy was saying, like, I kind of told him that he didn't have to talk or say anything in a really polite way, but during the intake, so before that even would start happening on the
Right.
table.
Right. And also with people that really are new and seem nervous, tell them exactly what you are going to do, not just what they can do laying there, which is great, but I'm going to work on one area at a time. I'm going to undrape that area by just pulling the sheet down. I'm going to work on that area using different massage techniques, and when I'm done, I'm going to cover that area up. And then I'm going to go to another area, and I'm going to undrape that area. And I just kind of move along the body like that. And you'll only have one area uncovered at a time. So you really give them like a step-by-step, this is how it's going to go, because people don't know. I mean, you didn't know either on your first massage either. Do you remember your first massage? Yeah? Right? So it's like, what's going to happen? What are they going to do? So it's really nice to let people know so they can just let it go. Okay, so oftentimes the interview is the first time that you meet. You might have a telephone conversation, which is actually a good first screening. You want to find out how they heard about you. It's always good to know what that reference is. And pay attention to your telephone conversations. If there's something that something that just strikes you in the wrong way, or somehow you're uncomfortable, you need to pay attention to that so you can follow up, find out why. There are certain calls, like every once in a while I'll get, I don't do an advertisement in the Yellow Pages because I don't want people to find me that way. So it's just word of mouth. I take only the required amount of advertising in the Yellow Pages because I have a business phone. Otherwise, I don't put anything in there. But every once in a while, somebody will find me, like somebody traveling through town. I'm staying at the La Quinta Inn, and I'm wondering if you could, can I get a massage? And I don't even call them back. I'm just not available for that. And if you are, you just need to be really careful. You need to make sure if you're going to go to somebody else's place and you don't know where you're going, You need to be really careful about that and cautious. Okay, make them come to you. Okay, you know where your place is, you're safe. If they're a traveling business person, there's no reason why they can't come to you. Okay, so be cautious of phone calls. There's also, because there's a lot of states still that aren't regulated in massage, and there's still different kinds of massage that are available to people. And if they're used to being in Georgia, which is where you can still get sexual massage, the people need to know that that's not what you're going to provide for them. So, if you ever, I think it's still in Georgia. I think so. So, yeah, so you just need to, not to get all we don't have to go all weird about this, but you just need to be really clear about your communication. All right, we done with that? Well, you just want to be able to say, I do not do sexual massage, period. So, well, it's not regulated. It's not, I don't know that it's legal or illegal, or it's just not regulated. Massage is not regulated. Which is why people think, well, I'll just go to a state where I don't have to get licensed. It's actually a lot harder, because you're competing against all of these massage parlor establishments. And so you have to be, it's really harder to establish yourself as the up and up professional massage person. So actually better to be in a place where you do have to get a license and it is regulated, because it's safer and easier for you. Because you can't just do a little nighttime class and become a massage therapist and offer whatever it is you're offering. Okay. All right. So first impressions are lasting impressions. I always think of my mom when I say that. And it's true. So when you meet someone for the first time, if you're going out to get them in your waiting room, or you're even on the phone or whatever it is, know that's that first visual thing, because we're so visually dominated in our world, that's what they're gonna see you first, unless it's a telephone call, and they're not gonna see you first, but they're gonna see it, they're gonna take it in, they're gonna have whatever it is that they have in their head about you, because that's just automatically happens with people. It happens with all of us too, which is why we did do all those exercises with our eyes closed, so that we can get out of our visual dominance. And so present yourself in a professional way, please. This is professional work. And I feel really passionate about that it's important to be professional, act professional, and really promote this work, as a medical modality. It's taken a long time to get out of the massage parlor world. And it's still, you'll still hear people say to you, oh, you're a masseuse, or where's your massage parlor located? And I just gently correct them. And I'm a massage therapist, and my massage office is
Why are you not a masseuse?
Well, I don't really, it's just the connotation. I probably am, in the definition of the word. It's not, it's just the connotation is more the older parlor style. Whereas massage therapist is a newer, more professional.
Like a flight attendant.
Yeah, stewardess is in stewards, yeah.
I've noticed that people come to the bonfires that haven't gone to school here, and they just walk up to you and ask if you do the happy ending. Like, Doug was there last time, I was like, Doug, here and here. So I have to go.
Yeah.
He said it like 15 times to me, like, come on, $20. And they were really, really, really busy.
Really?
And there's like 3 of us.
I've had that happen to me too before.
And you're at the bonfire, I was like, I didn't go to school. They're like, hold on, $20, and
So, if that were me, I wouldn't, first of all, I wouldn't laugh. I wouldn't give any kind of, and I would tell them that was inappropriate for them to ask that question, that it makes me uncomfortable, and I would prefer if they leave. And I would say it serious, and I would say it hard, and I would turn around and walk away.
Punched the guy in the face.
Or you could punch him in the face.
No, seriously, it was one of my friends that I was getting a massage, and he's like 22 years old, and he was seriously no joke, and I was like, no, I can't do that, and I was like, no, I'm sorry.
And make him get off the table right then.
And then he grabbed my arm, and I was like, no, not
Yeah.
I can totally see that.
We laugh about it now, but I was like, you're a jerk.
Yeah.
You just seem to be a jerk. He's just a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah, and but you have to never play along with it and always give a consistent answer of not funny, it's not a joke.
The other day,
No, I didn't say I'm sorry. I was like, what now? Who's you doing that? I remember laughing about it, but I was like, that's not funny.
Okay. That's okay.
I was watching TV with my husband the other night, and we were flipping through the channels, and something caught me. They started talking about massage on VH1, and they were talking about it's like on Spike TV. It's a guy's channel. So they're like how to get happy endings when you go to a massage therapist. I'm like, what the fuck? Why are you promoting this? You know it. And my husband got really pissed off. He was like, baby, what the hell is this? I'm like, no.
Right.
No. And, you know, it was aggravating to me. It's like, why are you promoting this shit? And,
Well, why are they promoting anything that is...
well, yeah.
So, and you'll notice if you pay attention, films, even good films, rarely ever portray massage in a non-sexual way. So that's why it's really up to us to be like, you have to be overly conservative about it, you know. That's why I always made a big thing about dress, you know, and I even put another copy of this in here for you guys, because, you know, it's that first impression thing. And if I come off being all sleazed out, well, no wonder they think that they're going to get some sexual favor, okay? And or if I come off being kind of scraggly and dirty or, you know, raggedy looking, I'm not going to be taken seriously. I can't really expect to get a lot of respect that way, even though I know it shouldn't matter. I know it shouldn't matter what clothes that you wear, but it does matter, okay? So, you know, wear whatever you want when you're not working. I don't care, you know, and I get to wear whatever I want when I'm not working. But when I'm working, I like to dress professionally. So that means that all these things. I've taken a shower. My hair's tied back so I don't lean over. I'm not wearing a baseball cap, so I want people to see my eyes. My clothes are not, they don't have holes in them and all ragged, even if that is the current fashion. Okay? T-shirts with words on them, they're distracting, sometimes they're inappropriate, sometimes they're offensive. Okay? Your cleavage is not showing, so do the cleavage test. Lean over in front of the mirror. Don't just put a shirt on and stand up, because when you do massage, you don't stand up. You lean over. So lean over, and if your cleavage is showing, then the shirt's too low. It doesn't mean throw the shirt away. It just means don't wear that one to work in. Okay? Or the spaghetti strap things. Those are usually too low anyway, and then they show your bra straps, and we don't really need to be showing our underwear, except if they're whatever, matching or whatever it is that you say. But seriously, you don't need to see your underwear. And you don't need to see them out of your pants either. Whatever that, you know, sometimes it's cool to have the whatever, the thong above the pants or whatever, I don't know, but or the boxers or the whatever. I'm not usually up on the latest what's the cool fashion thing, but whatever it is, just keep your body covered. Your bellies, your breasts, your butts, and shorts. When I say shorts should be knee length, I mean that's a little exaggeration. They don't need to be knee length, but I don't usually even work in shorts. You know, I don't consider it kind of a professional look, and so I usually wear pants. But if you choose to wear shorts, make sure that they're not, you know, cheerleader shorts or Daisy Dukes or, you know, anything that's going to show part of your butt somehow on the bottom or the top. And then also loose clothing, and that's just so that it's not aggravating for you. You don't have to keep moving it out of the way. You bend over. You don't want your shirt to drag. So when I go to work today, what's going to happen is I'm going to take this shirt off, because when I lean over to work on someone, it's just going to get in the way. It's going to drag on them. Okay, so, you know, after they get on the table, and this is just a t-shirt that I have on, I can just take this off. Okay, and that'll work just fine. And pulling your hair back so it doesn't you don't want to tickle people with your hair either, you know, when you're like this and that happens. And you don't want it to be in your face so you look like Cousin It. You want people to be able to see your eyes. You know, if they open their eyes, they should be able to see you. So you want to just dress, you know, if you want to be treated professionally, you have to dress professionally. And, you know, some of you may work in doctor's office, physical therapy office, chiropractor's office, you know, and they may even actually have something for you to wear, like scrubs or jackets or whatever they have. But, you know, you will be working hopefully in, you know, professional clinics and providing, you know, a medical modality. Any questions about that? I mean, I know in clinic now you have to wear the shirts, right? Yeah. That's just as well. It's just too hard. People weren't getting it. Those shirts are good, though. And it's funny, everybody looks so cute on that day. Everybody's in their little shirts. Everybody's all the same. All right, so any questions so far? You doing okay with this?
I was wondering if anybody else besides me wears them if they are doing a massage for someone that they don't know. 'Cause I do.
I didn't hear the first part.
I wear my black polo if I'm doing. Like my neighbor's been like bringing in these people. I don't know, so it's weird. Like all up to just because I don't know them.
I'll wear a button-up shirt
Like I don't want them
usually.
to.
As long as you're dressing professionally, you don't have to wear that one, but
Well, it's like I just want them to like, no, really, I really am a student. And
right. Yeah, so it's a great thing. You might as well use it. You have it.
I mean, that way they know.
You are a professional student, you are legitimate.
It's not related to the.
Hang on a sec.
Are we gonna have like any kind of lifting classes like for elderly people? Because my second client on my first day couldn't roll herself over or sit up on her own.
How'd she get in there?
She had a walker. Like I had to take her walker away from the bed or the table while she was, and I had to help her get undressed.
Well, have you had the elderly classes yet? Okay.
My mom's 85. I just get the chair out. Mom's great with a chair. Well, you don't have a massager in the
Like
chair.
she was significantly bigger than me,
Mm.
and like it wasn't easy.
But the chair's so awesome because they don't have to undress.
I remember her talking.
Well, do you have, I mean, if that would be appropriate.
Yeah, no, it would be
I
okay.
mean, if it was.
Well, I
Yeah, you
didn't
could
take her
get-
bra or underwear off. I just helped her with her shirt and pants, but it was still
Mhm.
awkward because I'm gonna say no, I'm not doing that, or
Right.
just leave or anything.
Yeah, well, you can also, you know, improvise. You can use a massage chair. You can use. You don't have to put them on the table.
And they love it. They don't have to take their clothes off and they get a good massage.
Mm-hmm.
So we have chairs in here?
They're around, and they can be gotten if you need one. Yeah, as an option.
My grandma, she's got cancer, but it's not active right now, but
Mhm.
it has been attacked. And she wants me to give her a massage and stuff, but she's really small and she also breathes really
Yeah.
easily,
Yep.
like super easy.
Mhm.
So I told her I was like I'd ask about it, but I wasn't sure if I could give her one or not.
Oh, definitely.
Like I definitely still give her one.
Yeah. Just don't do connective tissue. This is when.
She can get like a little bump and she'll have like
Right. So you lose lots of oil because chances are if she's been on a lot of drugs, she's dry. So just use lots of really yummy oil and do really light massage. It's really about the contact. Spending time with her, working on her feet. Yeah. Just yeah. So definitely work on her. Definitely. Yeah. Okay, so also just consider your preparation, you know, if you're doing sessions, that you really get the idea of what you need for each session so that you come prepared. Unless they're coming to you in your office and you have all the stuff there, that's great. But make sure that you have all your, you know, you have the sheets and you have towels and you have the lube and you have pillows and you have all the stuff that you need to do whatever it is that you need, so that if you need extra towels or pillows or any of that, you are ready for that. learn how to greet people in a way that is, good contact, nice, friendly, all those good things. If you're not an extroverted person, then you have to still do it. So you have to make yourself. So I have to make myself because I'm not an extroverted person, even though everybody thinks I am. I'm not. I fake it. I'm an introverted person. So when I meet someone, I have to keep saying to myself, make eye contact, make eye contact. You're not making eye contact. Don't sit down like that. Sit up. I'm constantly coaching myself. So, and I still have to do that, and it hasn't changed. I used to think, one day I'll be an extroverted person, but you know what? Not happening. So it's okay. I just have to make sure that I give myself that little push, go out there, hi Joe, nice to meet you. Come on into my office. Look at him, shake his hand, whatever it is. And then as soon as he starts coming in, that's when I start paying attention. How is he walking? What is there anything that I notice? Is there anything that I'm drawn to? What's that initial impression? Well, he's made one of me. I've also made one of him. Okay, and bring him into the office. If you are an extroverted person, make sure you don't barrel over the people that come to see you that are introverted. Okay, so again, you try to meet their field. You don't insist that they come to yours. And so what I mean by that is you just don't barge into somebody's space, and practically knock them over, and I don't mean physically, but just emotionally. Hey, how you doing, Joe? Great to see you. And Joe's like, oh, shit. This woman's too much for me. So, try to just ease, you got to kind of figure out who they are first. I can also tell, how people walk up the stairs in my office, because I have stairs. So I hear them, are they the stompers? Are they the ones that, I can hardly hear them, but I can always tell when they're coming, but it's gives me a little bit of information about them, So anything that'll cue you, is good, but you have to pay attention. Make sure that you do ask them why they're coming in that day. There might be an injury, or it just might be that somebody gave them a gift and they didn't even really want to come. It could be that this is, they've been saving up for it forever and this is really a special occasion, or, who knows? I mean, not why are you here, but, how can I help you today, or whatever words work for you. Be courteous and sensitive, right? Be a good Girl Scout. So you want to watch your own language, don't interrupt, allow them to speak. I mean, all the things that are kind of duh, of course, but, you have to watch yourself because you have your own patterns. So you want to make sure that you're not imposing them on your clients. Keep the interview relaxed. And then the little things on the professional part. Am I dressed in a clean, professional manner? Am I making good eye contact? Am I smiling? Is my body language smiling and open? Or are you all shut down? Okay, make yourself sit up. Make yourself face your client. Take the time to sit down with them and sit close enough but not on top of them. Okay, so arrange your whatever. I have an area in my office that's for the client. They have a chair, they have a table, and they have a clothes rack. And that's their section. And then I have my desk and my chair, which is about maybe 4 feet away from that. And then the table is over here, and linens and stuff. So, make it work. You want to sit with your client at the same eye level. Okay, you don't want to be above them, lurking, standing over them. It can make people feel uncomfortable and intimidated. Sit with them. Make it appear as if you have the time, and just take the time. Don't present yourself in this sort of rushy manner, because they'll feel it. They may not know it, but they'll feel it, and it will affect their nervous system. So then you just have more work to do. Somebody have a question? You have a question.
Do you find it easier to do the intake with them sitting on a chair next to them or across the desk from them?
Yeah, no, not across the desk. No, because my desk is against the wall, and then the chair, and then they're here. So I just sit across from them, with nothing in between us. No.
Nothing breaks out.
No. Now, and if I have a child, or sometimes I sit on the floor. with them. So with kids, you just have to do what they do. Right? So they're not going to sit in the chair and look at me. You know? They want to play with everything. They want to check out the table. I give them a ride on the table. You know, tell them that the hydroculator's hot and show them how hot it is so they don't hurt themselves. And you know, they get to the lay of the room, which is what adults like too. They just don't do it as freely. So you'll see they'll be looking around at everything. They're checking it all out. You know, and it's a way for people to be comfortable in your room. So just allow them to do it. And that's why it's nice when you leave to, you know, wash your hands and give them time, because it gives them time to check everything out too and get more comfortable. And then there'll be the times when somebody will say, wow, you got a new painting, that's great. You know, I've had it for 10 years. But they never saw it till today. It's like, yeah. So, you know, some people see everything, some people don't see anything. It just, you know, they're too nervous or they're not. You know, they're comfortable.
So as far as cropland, I know we all just kind of have a basic amount of common sense, but, you know, some of the people, it's just different. If you have someone who's really mentally challenged and they can't have a conversation, like, I feel really bad, like I'm not really sure how to get started with that, you know, with them, and I get like a little anxious because I want to do what they want, but if they don't really have a way to tell you what they want, they can't really. No, there's some that are just like
Mentally retarded.
Okay.
Just non-verbal.
Then just make contact. You know, contact is great, and a lot of people don't get it, especially people there. And so, you know, feet, hands, shoulders, anything, whatever you're comfortable with.
So do you, I mean, like, even try to say, like, how's this feeling? Even though they really don't respond, do you really try to just keep up stuff
Yeah,
with them? You know
sure.
what I mean? And let
Yeah.
them know you're trying to.
Absolutely.
And even if they don't speak, they can frequently still give some
They,
type of
even if
feedback.
they have a mental challenge, they still understand what you're saying. They really
Yep.
do.
Yep.
I mean, I did a fellow there who was nonverbal, and, but he could smile, and you could see changes in his eyes, and I was working on his hands. And when he was done, he just pulled his hand away, you know, and that was it. He'd had enough, and I moved on to something else. And you have to take it for what it is and
Yep.
not take it personally.
Right. Yeah, just cues, little cues. They're not verbal, they're
I don't think it's personal.
physical.
What I'm saying is that
But just be
I'm on the guy's
aware.
back, you know, and I can't see his face or anything
Mhm.
like that. He's not making any noises, and I was watching other people. Some people could make full conversation, like they had a woman who was completely talking. And I was like, man, it's like feels like I should be doing more. So, you know, can't do anything. Working with back, can't see his face. Don't know what's going on in front there. I heard he fell asleep a couple times. I was like,
Well, that's a good
That's like a
response. Yeah.
They also like to be talked with even if they can't respond. Not that many people
They like
engage
to
them in
just
their day.
listen.
Just talk
Yeah.
to them about anything.
How you
Really
doing,
enjoy
Mr.
it.
Jones? I hope this is feeling good to you. You know, just say something. Acknowledge him. You know, just say something. Acknowledge him. Okay, how are we doing? Thanks. Anybody else coming to the herb workshop? It's going to be fun. It does. Oh, oh, yes. It's true. Huh? Okay, you guys ready? My interview guy didn't show up, so. Yeah. I think he's confused. All righty. So your client comes in, you meet him in the waiting room, or her, you bring them into your office. How are they walking? What is their body language telling you? How do they greet you? Are they shy? Are they outgoing? Do they appear to be in any discomfort, and where? Or if you can even tell. Okay. If you use an intake form, okay, or some kind of, like you do for your journals, something like that, then they've probably already filled this out in the waiting room, or if they haven't, you can help them fill it out, however you want to do it. It doesn't have to be done in any particular way. You do it in the way that works for you in your office. And by the time that you finish your journal, you're going to realize the things that you like on that intake form and the things that you don't like, and you may already come up with some of those at this point. And so then you can design your own, unless you work in somebody else's clinic, and then you probably have to use theirs. But you can just design whatever questions you want to ask, and then you take it from them, and then you sit with them, and you actually look at it. It's nothing worse than filling out a whole bunch of intake forms, and then the practitioner doesn't even look at them, and they proceed to ask you all the same questions again. So, look at the answers, and then ask follow-up questions about them. Okay, so tell me about this fall from 8 stories when you were 15, or whatever it is, okay? Tell me what happened. So you don't just get the information that it happened, you get the emotion behind it. Is it done? Like, do they feel complete? Like, was there a car accident? Did someone die? I mean, what's the surrounding events around any kind of injuries? And that gives you an idea of how you need to address it, how you need to be with them, what kind of emotional state they may be in around it, or maybe not. Maybe it's just finished, it's over. But if you ask somebody to tell you the story, you'll be able to pick it up because you get the story. Okay, so how are you, if it was a car accident, do you mind telling me about it? What happened? How were you hit? Was anyone hurt? Things like that. Some people come up with all sorts of things. They're not upset except that their car got ruined. They're, or various things that are important for people. And I want to make sure that I keep my own judgments about it, because to me, cars are just cars. They don't mean anything to me. They just get me from one place to the other. So, people are more important to me. My body's more important than my materialistic objects. But that's not how everybody else feels, So, and it's okay. I don't need them to feel how I feel. They don't have to have the same views or ideas or anything. It's fine with me that they don't. In fact, I like that we have the way that we can meet is in the room, in the treatment room. Okay, that's where we agree. So the rest of the stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're liberal or conservative. It doesn't matter if they voted for the same people that I did. Hopefully most things won't matter. I mean, some things might matter to you, but certainly if they're rude or condescending or, not saying nice things to me, which doesn't usually happen, then, that might be somebody that I won't choose to work with. And occasionally you do have to fire people as your clients. And that's, certainly your choice, or you can refer them to someone else, and you can do it in a nice way. Yeah.
How do you go about doing that? Not like the...
Carefully.
You are fired!
Well, yeah, no. It's only happened, I think, 3 times, twice, 2 times. Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. But I explain the situation in that I'm uncomfortable, and then I think it would be best if they would see someone else. And they have their...
You need to find another therapist.
Or I can give them names of someone that I think might suit them better. Really, because everybody works so differently, What's that? Yeah. Of course. The famous line. Right.
That's your typical breakup line.
Someone had like maybe an emotional reaction before they got on the table, so much so to where they
Never got on the table?
Yeah.
Yep. I had, clients that had lost her husband, And it was through this whole process of, I mean, I saw her before she lost her husband, and then I saw her regularly, and then she came in, and he had died. He had had lung cancer. And so she needed to tell me the story, and that became the session. You know, she told me the story, she cried through the story. She didn't need to get on the table that day. She just, what needed to happen was exactly what happened.
Didn't you feel bad taking her money though?
I don't think I did take her money that day,
Uh-huh.
but that's my choice.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would still do that, because I felt like it just didn't feel appropriate to me.
She got her hour's money worth in the way that
Well,
she needed it.
it's true. It is true. But I don't always do it for money, which is why I don't have a lot of it. But I don't. Well, here's an example. I have a client who's I've been seeing regularly for a long time, and she has lung cancer, and she's homebound on hospice. She can't come in anymore. And I had told her, it was funny, the last time I saw her, I said, you know, when it gets to the point where you can't come in anymore, if it gets to that place, I'll come see you. I'll come to your house. And, you know, she lives far away. It's like a 40-minute drive.
Wow.
And she said, okay, well, that's really nice. Well, that happened to be the last time that she came in. And so she called me the next week, and she said, hey, I'm not going to be able to keep my appointment because I'm blah, blah, blah. So I made a time to go see her, and I knew I'd need a bigger amount of time because I'd have to drive and all that and chat. And, you know, it becomes more about that than, you know, how are we going to do this massage? So I went out, and she's on a fixed income, you know, like Social Security kind of income. And I already gave her a deal anyway. So I wasn't about to, you know, she said, well, I want to pay you more because your gas and your time and your this and your that, and, you know. And I said, you know, you don't really need to do that because this isn't about money at this point for me. And so we talked for a while, and then I said, so, what can I do for you today? She said, well, I mean, can you do anything? Because I'm sitting in this chair. And I said, oh, yeah, sure. I mean, there's always something to do, you know, for someone. So, yeah, she just wanted to lean forward and let me do some back work. A lot of cupping is really good for her because of her lungs. And, you know, a little feet work and a little just hanging out time. And, you know, and I was there a couple hours. And then she went scrambling around looking for a checkbook. And, you know, I said, why don't I come out every other week? And that way that'll be the opposite time of your acupuncture appointment. And, you know, that'll be good. And I know that that's a lot for you. So why don't you just pay me every other time? And she said, well, you know, la, la. And I said, no, I'm comfortable with that. You can pay me every other time. And because I know she can't really afford it. And yet I'd like to offer her the care. But that's my choice. You know, not everybody's going to do that. And you certainly don't have to do that. But I have another client that I see that can't really afford it either. She's another fixed income person, and she really needs it. And she's actually my oldest client. I've been seeing her for about 16 or 17 years. Wow. And so she pays me whatever she can pay me. You know, I get a little bit of insurance reimbursement from her sometimes, from the insurance company. And sometimes she gives me $10, and sometimes she gives me, you know, $20, and sometimes she doesn't give me anything. And so I just sort of take what I get for that person. And, you know, I don't do that with everyone because then I really wouldn't have any money. But, you know, I make choices. And I feel like I can do that. And I'm fine with it.
And about that, is there like a law that says that you have to charge everyone the same thing?
No.
The reason why I'm asking is because in property management, there's fair housing. So we have to stick to one price for everyone no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm wondering.
Well, my prices are set, and then I have a sliding scale. Sort of. That I make up
Can you get
in the moment.
trouble for it? That's my question.
I don't
No.
think so. No.
Okay.
No.
No, the reason why I'm asking is because of that. It's
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't.
With,
I mean, you could ask Pete that question. He would be a person that would know that.
no, it's not just housing. It's any property renters.
That's the only issue. It's advertised,
Oh, okay.
That's the advertised price.
and everybody has to be the same.
That's what I was wondering, because with rental properties, you have to
Right.
stick to that price.
Yeah,
no
good
matter
question, but everybody does it kind of differently, and it's just kind of on the DL anyway.
Certainly, you're right,
Don't put that on film. Okay.
But that, you see what, because you can choose whatever price you want to charge people.
Right.
What I'm wondering is if if you've told them that you're charging $60 an hour, do you have to stick to it? That was really my question.
I mean, and you know, and probably 90% of the time, everybody does pay the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that different. But then there's times when it's not about the money for me.
No,
You
I
know?
know,
You know?
I
No, I don't mean that personally to you. I'm just saying.
No, I
It's just
completely
not.
understand that, and I
Yeah.
like that, but that's, I was just wondering if you could get in trouble for it or something like that if they got out, that you were doing a different price for different people.
Nah. Right. Just doesn't, yeah, doesn't get out. Okay, where are we here? Off track. Yeah, medical history. So again, you're still you're asking these follow-up questions. You're getting their stories. You know, and you just have to be good at kind of extracting information from people, and not in an intrusive way. So it's in a way of making a conversation with someone, and hopefully you're actually really interested, and that will also come across, so that people feel like you're interested and they want to talk to you and tell you things. But you want to notice, again, their body language as they're telling you their stories, their tone of voice, you know, when they get quiet, when they get louder, if they get angry, any nervousness or uncertainty. And again, if that's the case, I take more time. I don't rush them. Okay. Any holding patterns, meaning, you know, are they sitting there with their shoulder up to their ear the whole time? You could ask them about that. So we get to the treatment plan. Okay, what are you going to do with somebody? So the treatment plan is really an outline. Okay, you can follow it, you can stray from it, you can change it, but it's just an outline. It's just sort of the beginning, the recipe. Takes into consideration information from the intake and medical history forms, the interview, the preliminary assessment. You're going to formulate session goals. You know, if someone has an expectation, something they want, make sure you don't make promises about something that you can't promise. You know, you'll get a lot of the same questions. Do you think this can get better? Do you think this can change? You know, all these other doctors and people told me that I'm not going to be able to, you know, lift my arm above my head ever again. What do you think? And I always think that there's room for change. Something's going to change. I can't guarantee what it's going to be, but something will change. So why don't we see what happens, see how you're feeling, how you think things are going, and then you can make choices about coming back or not coming back if it works for you. So you give them hope, because there is always hope, and amazing things happen for people when they get on the table. And if they're, you know, attending to themselves, if they become more aware, if they're taking care of themselves, and they're coming in for sessions, they will change. Things will change. And you know, some people come in with just simple things. Like I had one guy for a long time. He just wanted to be able to turn the light on in his closet because it was an overhead light, and he couldn't lift his arm up because of scar tissue in his shoulder from the shoulder injury and then surgery. And so that was the treatment goal, kind of. And then each session, you know, we worked through it, and eventually he could turn his light on, and it was a great thing. You know, and the doctor had just sort of written him off and said, this is as good as it's going to get, and well, you learn to live with it. Mm-hmm. But then he didn't. You know, he made the choice to come in, and so things changed over time. You know, it's usually not a quick fix. Okay, it was a gradual thing. And that's really exciting when you can help somebody with some simple task. Like, it seems simple, but really important for someone. Like, they just want to turn the darn light on, you know? I mean, have things that we take for granted. And he was quite happy. You know? He's turning his own lights on now. Well, there's that, yeah. And you also want to really help people realize the changes that they've made, you know? So had somebody with a frozen shoulder last year, a woman probably, I don't know, she might have been 50. And her range was about here. And she was a golfer and very active and loved to do things, and so she was bummed. But she was a computer programmer, and she just got herself bound up in computer world, you know. So we, you know, worked on that just regularly over time, and every time she came in, I just started her on the first day. She stood, you know, against the wall, same distance from the wall, and I marked on the wall with a pencil where she could reach. And then the next time she came in, she didn't feel like it was any different, but sure enough, it was about this much higher. And we just worked our way up the wall, you know. And so it was so cool. She had her own little marking stick on my wall in my office until she finally made it to where the wall and the ceiling come together, because it's a low ceiling in my room. And she's like, she looked at it, and then she looked down there, and then she looked up there. It's like she didn't believe it, you know. She just kept looking at it, and I said, it's really changed a lot, hasn't it? And she said, yeah, this is amazing. So just little things that you can do that help people realize their own changes that they don't realize over time, and now she's good, you know. It's not frozen anymore. So you know, just make up things. I just made it up, and it worked. Okay, so a general treatment strategy may cover several sessions, like the turning on the light guy. Okay, but every session has its own treatment plan. Okay, so with every session in that one, I always worked on his shoulder. That was one place that we always worked, but the other places that we worked changed from session to session. So maybe it was his back and his neck, and sometimes it was his legs or feet or knees, depending on what was going on for him. Okay, so I always included the main goal thing, the treatment goal, but the sessions got to change around a little bit. So you don't get too rote in what you're offering someone. You don't always do the same thing. So including their goals, of course, that's going to be the first and foremost important thing. Help your client create attainable goals. Okay, so make sure that you use your language correctly, suggesting that decreasing the pain or increasing the function is a more realistic goal than stopping the pain or fixing something. You know, can you fix it? You're going to hear that a lot. Be careful. Don't say, yeah, I can fix that in 2 sessions. You know, you have no idea if that's true or not. So, well, I can certainly help you work on it. I can just find words that you like, that you feel comfortable with. You know. We can certainly see if we can change the function of your arm and increase the motion, things like that, rather than, you know, fixing it. It's a word you want to be careful not to use. Be sure to review the treatment plan with your client to get their approval, right? Make them a part of it. It's not like, okay, I got you covered, I'll take care of you, go on and get on the table, and I'm going to do this session. You know, well, you want to have them be be a part of it. Like, so we'll definitely focus on your shoulder. I'm going to work on this scar tissue. We're going to do some stretching. I think that would be really helpful, and probably work on the whole shoulder girdle, you know, which includes, they don't know what that means. You can even pull out your muscle charts. You know, I have the little versions of those guys in my office, the muscle chart guy and the skeleton. And I just pull them out and show them different places where I can work. I don't always do that. Sometimes I do it after the session, sometimes I do it before. But, you know, you start to educate them a little bit, let them know what you're doing.
With my massage therapist, the last massage therapist that I had, I had, you know, was telling him what he wanted and everything, and he did pull out the book, and he showed me, like, the muscles that I was having the most problems with, and just actually seeing them in the book, and just, it was like a name was given to it, so it made it easier to deal with, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if you've just got this random pain and then, you know, you just know it hurts, but then when you can actually look at the book of the muscles and say, oh, that's what's in there, then it just kind of makes it, for me at least, it made it easier, and, you know, I was able to take a little more out of the part and concentrate on healing.
Yep. Good. Yeah, that's great. So you want to have them participate, but you also don't want them to have to be responsible for too much. Okay, so you are the one that's in charge and, you know, responsible for kind of setting things up, and don't give them too many choices. It's just,
simple.
yeah, like, you know, they don't need to decide if they start face up or face down, or if they, want this kind of modality or that kind of modality. Most clients don't know the difference between different massage modalities. Some experienced clients might, and they might know what they like, and they're probably going to tell you that if that's true. Yeah, like the student clinic clients. Because they're familiar with you going through all of your modalities, and so they are now familiar with them. But most people out there don't know. So you can help them, but you don't need to, what do you like, connective tissue, or do you like this, or do you like that, or do you like, hopefully what's going to happen is you're going to become your own therapist out of all of these modalities. So when people ask me what kind of work that I do, it's a difficult question to answer, because it's like, well, I just do whatever's needed. If somebody needs deep work, well, then I do deep work. If somebody needs energetic work, well, then I do that. If somebody needs, sometimes there's this great combination that I do between the two places. So, be careful to not compartmentalize modalities. You're learning them that way, because that's the best way to learn things, is learn one thing at a time. And then you can put your own style together and offer that. And that's why people will come to you, because they like your style. And they probably because they like you. And they're comfortable with you. And that's how people pick. It's kind of like any service that you get, no matter what it is. If you like your car mechanic, it's better than taking it to somebody that you don't like, right? If you have a good rapport with somebody you're comfortable with, that you think isn't going to rip you off, you like to go to them. You like the person who is nice that cuts your hair, or whatever it is. So it's same with how people would choose you. And let your ego go. It's not part of the session. There's no place for them. Okay? Let it go. So here is a little on this one that says client assessment interview. These are things just to consider. It's not like you need to answer these questions, but they're things to pay attention to, and some of them are on your client, whatever you call those things, the journal intakes.
Back of the first page.
Yeah, the back of the first page. Just things to pay attention to. How are they walking into your office? What is their body language telling you? Do you notice any holding patterns? Where? Do they appear in pain? And think about why it is where do you notice that, and how do you notice it? And are you just making it up, or do they actually appear in pain somewhere? And then you ask them about it. Do they appear nervous? And if they do appear nervous, how can you help the situation? Okay, you take more time with them. Maybe give them more information about what's happening in the session. As you're talking with them, is there anything that strikes you about what they are saying or how they are saying it? Okay, so those are not that you can really do anything about it, but it just gives you information.
Helps you develop rapport with
It does. It helps you develop a rapport. It helps you get to know them. It gives you more information to ask questions. In terms of their medical history, what is significant for your treatment plan? And hopefully this will just start to happen automatically. Okay, I definitely want to address the whiplash. How am I going to do that? I definitely want to address, but I need to be careful because it sounds like there was some trauma around that, So I want to be careful how I go in there. And so this is just my own internal dialogue happening. I'm not saying this to them. Do they have goals or expectations? And then what is your treatment plan? Okay, and again, it doesn't have to be, really long. It can just be, maybe 4 areas that you spell out. As you start to do this work as in a profession, probably what you're going to find out, unless you work at a spa that requires you to do something, is that you're not necessarily going to do, full body sessions on each person that comes in. I hardly ever do that unless somebody asks for it specifically, because each session is just created for what the person needs. And usually that's maybe 4 areas, or 3, or 5, just depends. But it's not always everything. Okay? So any questions about this so far? You getting? All right. So what I'm going to do is I'd like to do a demonstration of an intake and how I would go about it. And then there'll be some time for some of you to practice if you would like. And I'll show you how to do that. We'll kind of do it as a group. So you're going to pay attention to all the things in that second page, the client assessment interview, and try to answer them, okay, as we're going along. All right? The waiting room that's just right outside my office. Staying away from the camera. Hi, Roberta. Good to see you again. Come on in, sit down. And I tell them where to sit because they come into my office and it's very clear to me where they're supposed to sit, but it's not clear to them, even though it looks clear. So we come in the door. In my office anyway, and my desk is over here, and right to the right is the client area. And so I usually just say, you can have a seat here, and I point to it. And that makes it really clear, because otherwise they go and sit in my chair, which happens a lot, which isn't a big deal. I don't make them get up. I just get the other chair. Or they go sit on the table. Okay, but I like to sit in chairs first. I want to just stay away from the massage table in the beginning. Okay, so tell me a little bit about why you're coming in today.
I've just been having some pain on my lower back, around my sacrum area.
Okay.
I have hyperlordosis, so I'm always having pain, constant, and it doesn't stop. And I just wanted to see if you can kind of help my pain go away. And
okay. What kind of things do you find help it the most?
when I work out.
Okay.
When I
So
stretch.
exercise.
Yeah.
Specifically stretching.
There's one stretch in particular that, not stretch, it's like a resistance kind of stretch that helps a lot before I do anything, before I do body work, or just before I get up and pick something heavy up. It gives me the most pain.
Okay. And how long has this been happening?
My whole life.
Forever? So when do you first remember being conscious of it?
I had my first exam done on my back when I was about 6.
Okay. So that's kind of when it came into
Yeah.
consciousness?
Right before that, we had it done because I had started complaining about pain. So we had it done when I was around 6.
Okay. And how do you feel like it's affected you in your life?
It affects my everyday life. It affects the way I walk. It affects sometimes my mood. If I'm in pain, I'm usually in a bad mood. It affects the way I interact with my daughters sometimes.
You have kids?
Yes.
How many?
2.
2?
2 girls.
How old are they?
2.5 and 7 months.
Oh, babies. That's great. And was that okay, your pregnancies? And
No.
Okay,
It's
so it was
not.
hard.
Yes.
Okay.
With my first pregnancy, I got body work done every day. I got massage pretty much every day
Okay.
throughout the whole pregnancy, and that's the only way I could deal with the pain.
Mhm.
And acupuncture. I had acupuncture done once a week.
Okay.
And then my second pregnancy was worse, and I did a lot of exercise during my second pregnancy, and I did, oh my God. I did a lot of workout in the pool. I worked out in the pool a lot at the
Good.
gym,
Uh-huh.
and that definitely helped. I saw a big difference.
Okay.
Even in the delivery, everything
Mhm.
a lot easier.
Did you labor in the pool then?
No,
No.
I didn't.
Okay. No, did you have your births were okay?
Yeah, both of them
No
were fine.
C-sections or-
No, the first one was, I had an epidural, the second one I didn't.
Okay. Do you use the pool now to help you?
I haven't, but when I have time, I usually do.
Mm-hmm. You just because of time
Yeah.
that you don't? Okay. Because you have 2 young children. And you have no time left.
No.
I understand. Okay. And how is it, you can pick them up and you can...
I can.
Do all that stuff?
There are days that I avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just sit down and have them come to me, my oldest come to me,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll have my husband hand me my youngest.
Mm-hmm.
There are days that I can't.
Okay. Must be hard.
Very frustrating.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And so tell me a little bit more about your body. Anything that you feel like particularly works well or doesn't, or it maybe as a result of this back issue?
I know that when I'm thinner, my pains are not as bad as they are now.
Okay.
'Cause I've gained weight
Mhm.
with both of my pregnancies.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't lose it, so when I was thinner, it was better. Definitely.
So does that bother you?
Yeah,
Okay.
it bothers me.
So you're working on that?
Trying
to.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's hard. Lifetime job.
I do work out a lot and go to the gym pretty much every day.
Well, that's good. You have time for that.
Yeah. Try to squeeze it in
Mhm.
sometime, even if I just go for half an hour.
What do you do there?
I do a lot of classes. I do Zumba about 3 times a week. And I do like Bozo classes and I do a lot of cardio workout. I try not to do weights because, especially arm weights,
Mm-hmm.
arm weights really mess
Bother
up
your
my
back?
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't do weightlifting with my arm, just my legs.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And what else? How old are you?
23.
23?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mean to say it like that. Lucky. That's great. Okay. Any other injuries or accidents or surgeries or anything at all?
I had my gallbladder removed about 7 months ago. About
Hmm.
six months ago.
What happened there?
I was just having trouble during my last 2 months of pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And at night I would start throwing up,
Mhm.
and I would go to the ER. They didn't know why.
Mm.
I was in a lot of pain. I thought I was actually going into labor, and every time I would go to the ER, they would just send me back home.
Hmm.
So in the ER, they started saying, "Oh, there comes that cycle pregnant lady again that just wants to go into labor."
Mm.
So it ended up 2 weeks after I gave birth. I was back in the ER. They finally ran tests this time, and they put me to emergency surgery the next morning.
Hmm.
So,
Is it better now?
yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
And you have to be careful about what you eat?
Yes, I do, especially early morning and late night.
Mhm.
I can't eat anything heavy, not much dairy in the
Mhm.
morning or at night. During the afternoon, I'm okay, but
Mhm.
in the morning and at night, I'm not.
Okay.
And no greasy food, fried
Right.
food, no, can't take it.
Well, that's good that you're following that.
Yeah,
It's important because
Oh,
you don't
my
have your
body kicks
gallbladder
it
to
right
deal with
out.
it anymore.
yeah.
Right.
My body kicks it right out anyways.
Not everybody's good about that. Okay, great. So you can see, I just wanted to make sure that, sometimes people that have their gallbladder out don't even actually know that they're supposed to not eat that stuff. So just make sure they know it and at least give them a little bit of education about it. But it sounds like she's well aware of it. But that's why I wanted to ask that question. So just to take a little break here, anything that you guys are noticing? Mm-hmm. I am taking notes because I and that's another thing you really want to get good at, is taking notes but also paying attention at the same time. Because I want to remember this stuff, and I won't remember it. And that way I can just stick it in her file, and that way, next time she comes in, I can review it. Especially when you start seeing a lot of people. You think, oh, I'll remember all this stuff, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, who the hell are you? And I don't remember what she told me, and I don't want to ask her again. It's so rude.
How are your kids instead of
Right. Yeah. So I can do a quick review next time before she comes in, and that way I'm all set. And also I can follow up, from the notes that I took. Doing your SOAP notes, and I can follow up with like, so how did you feel after the last session? Anything that was painful, anything that you particularly liked or didn't like. I like to know that so I don't do it again if they didn't like it. And if it's something they really liked, I'll make sure I do that again. Right? Okay, so what else? You notice anything about her body language? Okay. Little nervous maybe. Or just a lot of movement, which also can be discomfort. So I'm wondering if she's uncomfortable just sitting in the chair. It's sort of okay, you're just busy. Okay. And that's normal for you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm always going. And usually when I get on a massage table, I'll get a huge headache. As soon as I lay down, I'll get a really big tension headache. Just knowing that I'm going to have to...
Slow down?
Yes. Be quiet and kind of be inside of myself.
Yep. Because it's challenging.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't have the time to do that ever.
Mm-hmm.
And usually when I do, my mind's very busy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't...
Has there ever been a time in a massage that didn't happen?
There was once.
Tell me about that.
I don't know. I just kind of went out of myself. It was amazing to me that for the first time I kind of was gone. And I was awake, but I just didn't know what was happening. I thought I was asleep, but I could still hear.
Do you remember the situation around it? Like what helped you get to that place?
It was here at school, actually.
Okay.
And I don't remember much about it. I just remember that I went off.
Okay.
And it was great.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was about the person that was giving me the massage. The way that I just felt through them, like the energy they were putting off on me. I think it was really positive and
fit for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that would be a person you could receive from again.
Yes.
That's what I would do. Yeah. The other thing is you could consider just getting shorter sessions as your body sort of acclimates to it, and just allowing your nervous system to adjust in a different way rather than making it be quiet for that amount of time. That's hard for you. Okay. And do you feel like this headache happen more if you're face down or supine?
I don't think it matters.
Okay. So other than your back, which I'm definitely would focus on today for you, are there other areas that you would like some attention?
I'm an asthmatic also, so I'm always I'll hold a lot of tension around my neck.
Okay.
More in the front than in the back. Usually when I get asthma attacks, I get a really nice workout right here.
Have you ever gotten any intercostal work with your ribs?
I did. I wasn't too fond of it.
Okay. Did it hurt or?
No, I just wasn't fond of it. I just don't like a lot of people touching
Your belly?
Yes.
Okay. So that's good to know.
But I'm open for it.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, we don't have to do that today. Maybe
can try,
sometime.
but I'm not fond of it.
Okay. So I probably wouldn't do that the first time then. What I would do is the work around your neck that you wanted, and then eventually if you came back or you became a regular client, probably what would happen is you'd start to get more comfortable, and you might even ask for it at some point. And it may not be a direct ask, but I'll always be waiting for the cue, and I may ask her again at some point. You know, but I don't need to push it. There's plenty of other things to work on, and you know, you all have your own places, right, that you feel comfortable and not comfortable receiving. So I wouldn't necessarily, you know, oh, you should get over that, or, you know, we can make that better, or, you know, oh, I do really good abdominal work. You know, who cares? She doesn't like it. So just, you know, honor that and let her know that she doesn't need to worry about it. So we don't need to do that today. And then you let it go, because there's plenty of other things to work on. Okay? And that way, she doesn't have to worry, lay there through the whole massage as, oh, is this woman going to do abdomen work? You know, more of the headache, right? Any other areas that you don't like to have worked on, or that you would just prefer not?
No,
Okay.
it's my
All right. Okay. What else? So you're in massage school.
Yeah.
How's that going?
great. I love it.
Good. Okay. And it's going okay being away from your kids for this amount of time?
Yeah, I mean, I was working full time before.
Oh, okay.
So I was in front of the computer and driving around most of the day. So it's
Okay.
good because it's less time that I'm away from them actually.
Oh, good.
Used to be gone, used to work anywhere from 40 to 55 hours a week.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. I always do like to ask some kind of personal question, you know, like just what I did. You're in massage school, and acknowledge that. I want to see how it's going. I like to hear about what people do in their job and if they like it. You know, if you're with somebody who hates what they do for 8 to 10 hours a day, it definitely influences their body in a negative way. So you want to know that and be prepared to be working with that. And you don't need to change it or tell them they should love their job or, you know, anything like that. It's just more information for you. Okay? Sometimes I'll ask if there's something else that they would like to be doing, or if they have any hopes or dreams or things that they would, you know, they have any idea that they could change what they're doing, and just allow people that concept that, oh, well, I could maybe do something else. Maybe not now, but maybe next year, or something that would give them just a little suggestion of hope that you can actually do something that you like. Right. All right. So anything else? Is there anything you'd like to know about me?
How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this since '91, so that's 18 years.
Okay. And obviously you love what you do.
I do.
Why did
yeah.
you get in this field?
Because I worked in mental health for a long time, and I wanted to help people in a different way. And it's not that it was depressing. I actually really liked what I did, and I really liked my clients, but it was also a little sad that most of them got a little worse rather than better through the years. So I wanted a more natural form of contact, and I waited until I could do it. So, and I'm glad I did. It was actually going to be the stepping stone to acupuncture school, but then I never decided I didn't want to do the acupuncture school. So it became the stone, and it's perfect for raising kids, by the way, because you get to make your own hours.
That's why I chose it. One of the main reasons I chose it.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? All right.
Great.
So what I'm thinking, if it sounds okay to you, is I'm going to start with you face down so that I can work on your back, because it sounds like that's most pressing. Do you like to have a pillow under your belly when you have your back worked on? Does that help?
No.
Okay. Make it worse.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll probably just, see what it feels like there, and you can also direct me if anything you want any area worked on longer or less, or something hurts. Please tell me if you feel yourself pulling away. If there's an area you really like, tell me that too, and I'll stay longer. And I would like to address the neck and the breathing, and also your posterior neck too. And then we'll see what time we have left. And if there's maybe an area that you would like, we can throw that in too. How's that sound?
Perfect.
Okay, all right, good. So that's pretty much how I would do it. I didn't make anything up or do it any differently than I would do it in my office. I would take that amount of time to do it. I feel like it's really important because the session now has already started. Okay? She seems more comfortable. She's not as agitated. She's not moving around as much. Did you notice? Okay? And so I'm imagining that you might be a little more comfortable with me and you might be okay with now getting on the table. As opposed to, bringing somebody in, having them rip off their clothes, jump on the table and do this, quick thing, 'cause I got to do all these massages today. Is really consider this part of the massage. And you can consider it part of the massage in terms of time if you want, and you don't have to. The way that I do my time is that when I leave them to get on the table, that starts my hour. And then I come back in, I work, and when that hour's up, and that's approximate, then I leave. If for some reason I ended up talking to somebody for 45 minutes, which does happen, then I would work a shorter amount of time. But I would also let them know what was happening. I had one person that was talking, which was fine, but I also just wanted to let her know that that was fine with me if she wanted to do that, but that her body work was going to be shorter because of it. And she said, yeah, that's fine. I really just want to talk to you. So that's fine. It's fine with me. As long as we're on an agreement, so she doesn't think then she gets an hour.
How did you say that to
At that point. Let's see, what did I say? When there was a break in the conversation, so I didn't interrupt or anything, I looked at the clock and I said, I just wanted you to be aware of the time. I'm really okay with what's happening now. We can continue this. And, I do have a client at 11 o'clock, and so I'll need to stop in time to change over and get ready, and so that would leave us this amount of time. And we can keep doing what we're doing, or you can get on the table, or it's your choice. So I said something like that, and I did end it up with, it's your choice. And it's kind of nice that every session's different, because everybody's different, and what everybody needs is different. And I really do not have an attachment to what it is for them. Body work, what kind of body work, talking, not talking, it's really just designed for them. So I schedule an hour and a half apart, so I have time for this, and then I have time to work, and then I have time to change my table over and get ready for the next person. So an hour and a half pretty much takes me from one right to the other, with maybe sometimes 5 minutes in between, or 10, after I'm all set up and ready for the next person. When I first started working, I worked at a physical therapy place, and they scheduled me on the hour. And that was very hard, because I also had to do charting, and I had to do the session, and I had to try to do an intake and an outtake. And so I was running around like, crazy woman. But it was a great learning experience, because I knew I never wanted to do that in my own office. So I don't schedule on the hour. Every once in a while, I'll schedule like an hour and 15, because there's some time weirdness that's happening and I need to try to do that. But I always end up running late then, and I don't like to run late for my clients. I like to be on time. Make sure you're on time. Usually people don't mind 5 minutes, but 10 or 15 isn't so great. Question?
I have a comment about the intake and the questions and forms. And I understand this is a little more pertinent to my esthetician stuff, but you may want to ask someone if they're allergic to anything. Because if you use a lotion that has a particular plant or nut oil in it, and they might not even think about it I'm allergic to peanuts.
Right.
There's some kind of nut oil in your lotion, they might have a really bad reaction to it.
Yep.
So
Yep. Great point.
just wanna throw that out
Yep.
there. Because I haven't heard it anywhere since I've been here, and I haven't seen it anywhere, it's not on the intake forms or anything. I'm like, allergic to anything?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. And most people, if they're that allergic, they know it and they do say it. But make sure that you have something for them then, even if it's just a bottle of olive oil or something that's not going to have any, I use mostly jojoba oil because it stays really fresh and it is not, most people aren't allergic to it. But if it has, but sometimes I have it blended with either herbs or essential oils, and I always have them smell it. Do you like this? Before I put it on their body. Let me know if you like this. And it's never a heavily scented thing, but sometimes,
Sometimes
I do.
people don't realize, like, if they ingest something they're allergic to,
Mhm.
but also,
Yeah.
they may not know that topically they're
Is like
allergic to it
ingesting.
also.
Right. That's true. Yep. Yeah. So make sure you have a variety of products for people in case you run into somebody like that. It does happen occasionally.
Yeah, it started happening to me.
Has it?
And my best friend, she's like allergic to almost everything.
Mm.
I used oil on it and
Mm-hmm. Try olive oil. Usually when I have somebody that's really highly allergic, that works the best. Anything else that you noticed or any other questions or? Yep.
Is it kind of courtesy to, have you ever asked like a client to maybe not wear like a perfume or something that didn't like, when I was in the clinic and there was a woman with some really strong
Yeah.
perfume, I was like, it permeated the air and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass out. And
Yeah.
it was like all over me and I was just like, ah.
Yeah, I have.
Got the knee.
Yeah, I have. Because it'll give me a headache if
Yeah,
it's
that's
really
exactly
heavy.
what happened there.
So I did finally ask her. I said, I just wanted to ask you if it would be okay when you come in not to put on perfume right before you come in because I'm having some allergic reaction to it. And just claim it as my own. Then like, it's yucky, it stinks, I don't like it. It can just be about that it doesn't work for you. Not that it's not fine, and I think it was because she was a smoker, and so she would spray it on her right before she came in, but that was worse. I'd rather just smell the smoke. So I got the smoke and the perfume, so, because it didn't cover it up, of course. So I just told her it was, fine just to come how she was. And it was much better, and I thanked her when she came in the next time. Yes?
I was wondering if, aside from having an allergy situation, do you, since you're an herbalist, offer people different herbal oils, like scented into classes? Do you offer them, or you just sometimes do what you feel like with that? That's something
Both.
that I did offer them, I just didn't have any.
Yeah.
I usually just had some scented oil and stuff.
Oh.
Really don't do it.
Yeah, I have a variety of things, and I use, depending on what's up for them, will kind of determine what I would like to use. And then if I need to or feel, I'll ask, have them smell it and see if it's okay, if they like it. And tell them why I'd like to use it. This oil I have infused with some herbs that might help with your back and healing and nerve pain. And it has a little bit of smell to it, so see what you think. And if they don't like it, then I just use something else. I don't get offended or anything. Okay, anything else?